Well, good morning to everybody if you're in the UK. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever else you are. For me anyway, it's Saturday, the 9th of May, and I'm absolutely delighted to have been asked by Heike to introduce the world famous Joe Dale, who is an incredible person in terms of his knowledge about IT, his commitment to helping people. And I would always recommend Joe Dale as somebody who not only gives you lots of ideas, but also gives you the aftercare if you need it as well. And I thoroughly recommend him if anybody wants to ask him to give them any extra help at this particularly difficult period. I can't recommend him highly enough. I'm not going to speak anymore. I'm just going to let Joe get on, and I hope that you really enjoy him. I'll be there in the background as well, listening, so that if there are any particular questions, put them in the chat, and we can either ask as we go along if it's something which is really urgent, or we can ask at the end, or we can pass them on to him when the session has finished. Enjoy.
Thank you ever so much, wow, for that lovely warm introduction, Helen. That's really lovely. So officially, I'd like to thank Heike for inviting me to speak at the virtual roundtable. I think this is the 4th or 5th time I've done a keynote, so it's a real pleasure to be here. For those people that haven't seen me before, I was a languages teacher. I taught French for 13 years, at secondary school level for 3 years, and 10 years at middle school level on the Isle of Wight, which is where I am right now, with a lovely sun streaming through my window. And for the last 10 years, I've been an independent languages consultant, and normally I go around the world running training here, there, and everywhere, but of course, at the moment, I'm trying to do everything via webinar, and I've been working incredibly hard for the last 5-6 weeks supporting language teachers, mostly in the UK, but from around the world as well, creating resources, sharing ideas, and I'm going to share some of my highlights, if you like, here. So you can see that my Twitter handle at the bottom there is just at Joe Dale. Feel free to follow me. I've now gone over 28,000 followers, which is a bit crazy, really, if you think about them all being in a room at the same time. But if you'd like me to retweet anything for you, or if you want to ask me any questions after this session, feel free to do so. My email address is joedale@talk21.com. Likewise, if you want to get in touch about anything that I'll be talking about, then it would be really lovely to hear from you. And I've been involved with IATEFL for many years. Since 2013, I've been at the IATEFL conference, so I know a lot of you face to face as well, which is lovely. So it's lovely to see a nice group here for today's session. Okay. Right, so this is what we're going to try and cover in the next 50 minutes or so. You can see there's a lot of content there, but don't forget everything's being recorded. So if you miss anything or you can't read your notes or what have you, then you can see that you'll be able to watch the recording back. I will try not to go too quickly. I will try to make sure that everything is delivered at an appropriate pace, and all this content was on the original program as well. So hopefully you've all had a look at it, and that's why you've come along today right now. So let's get into it. Okay, so to start off with, I've been loving going into the Facebook group called Bitmoji Craze for Educators. And in that group, there's been lots of people making these sorts of classroom banners. So I thought I might as well get onto the bandwagon and go for this one. You'll see, Heike, that I put virtual roundtable top right there. So essentially all this is a background image that you can find easily. There's lots of templates on that Facebook group I just mentioned. I've then used the Wheel of Names graphic, and I've added in the Bitmojis and the names of different things we're going to be looking at in today's session. I then did a search for armchair without a background and put it in, and then likewise with a rug. And then I just chose a number of different Bitmojis, positioned them as a one-stop animation on the slides by clicking duplicate slide each time and changing them slightly. And then I ran the presentation on my iPad, used iOS screen recording in order to turn it into a video, and then I put it into image play. Bluetooth mode. Can you turn your microphone off, please? Whoever's doing that. Thank you. So then I put it into image play, IMG PLAY, and was able to make this into an animated GIF. So that's how I did it. And it's there's lots of teachers who are into Bitmojis making these sort of classroom banners for Google Classroom, but I thought I'd include that for now. So you can see the sorts of things we're going to be talking about in the next 50 minutes or so. Right, we're going to get interactive now. So I'm going to click on this link here, or you can scan the QR code. I'm just going to click on the link if that's okay. I can also put that in the chat for you as well. So if I just quickly make that full screen, and then if I click share and then copy link, and I'll put this in the chat. So I just want you to tell me how you're feeling right now, but within Jamboard. So if you've not seen Jamboard before, it's an interactive whiteboard which allows you to have sessions synchronously or asynchronously. So you can use the pen tool on the screen, or you could use an image. So what I'd like you to do, please, so for example, if we go to Google Image Search and you're feeling happy about remote teaching, you click it happy, you then click on, say, this gentleman here, click select, and then we'll put him straight into the Jamboard. So what I'd like you to do, please, is either I'd like you to draw a picture or find a picture on Google Image Search, add it into the Jamboard, and just show me how you're feeling right now. That'd be really lovely. So it's just a quick starter activity to connect with my students, as it were, if you're my students, and then I can then have a conversation in the target language about the sorts of images that you put onto the Jamboard, and we can then go from there. So I'll just give you a moment to start drawing. Please don't do a massive picture, which means that no one else can, or it gets confusing if people start drawing over each other. So try and use a small little space there to add your picture, and then I can get a nice feel for how people are good, how people are feeling. So I can see this person is feeling really good. Okay, that's lovely. I'm not exactly sure what this picture is representing about people looking at a computer, but what have you? Maybe busy, I would imagine. Let's make that a bit smaller so we can see other things on the screen. So feel free to add a few more bits of content. So I think as a speaking activity, this could be a really nice way of being able to interact with your students, but most importantly, those sorts of soft skills of being able to find out how your students are at this difficult time. I think everyone is feeling a bit worried and challenged, and so if you can connect with your students in this sort of very visual way, that would be lovely. I can see no one's drawing at the moment. Feel free to use the pen tool here and choose a color and then do a little picture. Although it's not the easiest thing to draw with a laptop mouse, but you get the idea, hopefully. So there we are. So I'll just give you another few seconds just to add onto this. But I think from the point of view of, brilliant, of the point of view of being able to brainstorm how students are feeling is really, really nice. So if you've not seen Jamboard before, it's completely free. It's true that students can click on clear frame, which is annoying, but you can always click undo. What I would recommend is that before you start, you click on the 3 dots here and you click make a copy. And therefore, you've always got that original, and it means that you're never going to lose anything. So the idea of this session, it's let's have a play, let's get interactive with all these different tools that we're going to be having a look at. So if it's okay, I'm going to come out to my Jamboard and go back to what we were doing before. But thank you ever so much for everyone that lovingly contributed to that Jamboard. So thank you, or Jam officially as it's called. Okay, perfect. Right, so I can see that most people are feeling very positive, I would say, in this room about remote teaching, which is really lovely to see. Okay. Right, in relation to Jamboard, I don't know if you know, but there is a Jamboard iOS and Android app, and you get a few more features in that. For example, you have these assisted drawing tools. So you can, for example, write a word in, it only works in English and Japanese, interestingly, I checked online. So it doesn't work in other languages, but if you select the A and A icon there, you can then draw on the screen, and then it will turn your text, your written, handwritten text into text. Likewise, if you draw a circle or a square or a triangle, it will turn it into an actual one. And this is auto draw, which also, which I'm going to be showing later on. So that's assisted drawing tools, and it's just it's just a few features you don't get with the web tool that you only get with the iPad app. Let's carry on. Actually, before I do that, I just realized, no, that's right, that's fine. Right, yeah, okay. Right, so what I thought would be helpful at this point is to show you some examples of how Jamboard could be used, particularly in languages. So if I click on this link now, this is one that I made this week, one morning. It took me about 2 or 3 hours to put together. Essentially, I went through Twitter and I saw how people were using Jamboard, and I just took the ideas and put a language's spin on them. So the first idea is use Jamboard as a way of writing on the screen, recording everything using Screencast.fi. If you haven't seen that before, it's a free Chrome extension which allows you to record everything on your screen, your voice, your annotations, any text that you write, and up to 5 minutes you can have with the free version, including the annotation tool, which is very nice, I think. So that's Screencast.fi. You could use a website called Xwords, which allows you to generate a crossword have that as a background image, and then get people to then draw over the top. So you can then do a quick starter activity as a crossword. Again, all of these ideas are completely free. You've got the drag and drop icon as well in Bitmojis. So if I were to click, for example, on Bitmoji, the icon here, and I found, if I put in VRT like that and drag this onto the screen, as you can see, you can now put your own customized text in, which is very nice indeed. And then you can just get rid of that as well if you want to. So on the right-hand side here, I've put two emojis together, Bitmojis together, and I've used the website gifmaker.me to make it into an animated GIF, which I'm sure students would like as well. Okay, breakout rooms, you've already been through breakout rooms, so I don't need to go through this. Just a nice idea to use Jamboard in a breakout room. So you could have one Jamboard or multiple Jamboards, or one Jamboard with multiple frames that you then assign different frames to different groups, and then do a brainstorming activity, and then come back into the main room and everyone can see everyone else's work. Another idea, this is an idea whereby you can use a website called photosforclass.com, which gives you access to free royalty-free images. When you download any image, you get a little attribution at the bottom of the picture automatically. And that allows you to then use the image without worrying about copyright, because it's all covered for you. You put it into Jamboard and then ask the students to ask questions around that image. So that could be lots of fun, I think, making it interactive. So Jamboard is really good for making your sessions more interactive, I think. The snipping tool, if you haven't heard of the snipping tool, I'm using it all the time with different presentations. So it comes with Windows, you just launch it, capture the part of the image that you want to use, and then put it straight into Jamboard, or you could take a screenshot of a PDF as a worksheet and put it into Jamboard, so you can then get the students to then interact with it really nicely. Yeah, so I can see, as Helen has said, these ideas can be used with Microsoft Teams or other video sharing software. As long as you can share your screen, then it's you're good to go. If you're in a Google School or G Suite School and using Google Classroom, then you can make a copy of a Jamboard automatically for each student, which could be very useful as well. So you can make the one Jamboard and automatically copy it to everybody, so that everybody can then get their own Jamboard. And it's simple and straightforward to do that. And you can watch the YouTube clip on how to do that, which is just there. Another idea I just picked up on Twitter. So I just added an arrow here using, on the iPad, you've got access to symbols. So I just put the arrow in. Likewise with the sad face and the happy face, I found those within the library on the iPad app. And then the suggestion here is that people just drag and drop their name according to how they're feeling. If they're feeling really good, it'll go towards the top of the arrow. If they're not feeling so good, it'll go towards the bottom. And again, that can be used as a conversation starter to ask them how they're feeling and what the teacher can do to help. Similar to what you've just done. So you do a search in Google Image Search, find an image representing how you're feeling, put it into the Jamboard, and then have that as a conversation starter. Another idea, go to flaticon.com, which has a huge directory of images which you can use, particularly good for dual coding. Those people that heard of the term dual coding, really nice way of pulling together images with text. And so the idea here is that you find a set of flat icon images, you put them into Jamboard, and you get the students to label them, which can be done on a simple level or a more complicated level, depending on which pictures you use and how you arrange them together. It's important to say that with flaticon.com, you need to give attribution, which is why I've included a slide here saying icons made by flaticon.com/authors/free pick. Yeah, flat icon, as it says on the yellow sticker there, Vance. That's right. Okay, a more sort of grammar-based one. So this one, I made this little grid using Google Drawing. Just saved it with no background, put it into Jamboard, and then created a sorting activity with subject pronouns, auxiliary verbs, and past participles. So you would actually write the name of the actual subject pronoun, the actual auxiliary verb, and then do a quick activity to remind students about how the perfect tense is formed in whichever language, and they then drag the different squares in the different places. But you could use this for any sort of sorting activity. I've got another example of that later on, but this is a particular one based on grammar. This one, a bit like Pictionary, just draw the picture and then label it. So again, you could get one person to draw the picture, one person to label it, work out what the person's trying to draw. Again, I tried to draw this using my mouse on my computer as opposed to the iPad. If you have an iPad, I would recommend using your finger, or if you're lucky enough to have a stylus, to use that instead. Okay, this one, another sorting activity. So I've just done a little line here, which I created within the iPad app by using that auto draw feature that I mentioned. But you could do this in, whichever Google Drawing or however you want to do a line, and then just have all the one set of answers on one side, one set of answers on the other side. So again, you could use this, for example, for a topic like healthy eating. So you could have images which the students have to drag and drop into the healthy eating side or the unhealthy eating side, or any sort of debate that you could have. You could have the arguments on both sides, and then the students use that as a vehicle for conversation practice. You could use the snipping tool to make a nice screen grab of a reading comprehension text, and then put a set of questions on the left-hand side as the teacher, and the students then have to answer them on the right-hand side, but answer them collaboratively. So they would read the text. You could do the text over a number of different pages, so it's not too small for the students to read. And then just simple question and answer, but nicely done in a collaborative way, I think. A similar idea, dialogues. You've got the line down the middle of the page. You could then make a copy automatically in the way I've said already using Google Classroom, and get the students to either create a dialogue there and then, or you could pre-make a dialogue for them, but mix it up and they have to put it back into the correct order, and then you then feed back. So that could be, for example, an activity you do in a breakout room, and then you all come back together, and then everyone looks at what everyone has done and see if they've all got the same order in the dialogue that you have. This is just to remind you that you can save any jam that you do as a PDF. You can also make a copy, as I mentioned already. If the students wanted to be a pain and click clear frame or delete everything, you've always got that virgin copy before you start, so that's good. You can also save one particular frame as an image if you want to keep that as evidence. That's nice as well. So just a nice few ideas there for evidence of what you're doing. You could take a screen grab of a Google map and practice directions, or maybe pointing out culturally significant buildings in an area. So this is just the Eiffel Tower. So I was suggesting that you start at a particular point and then take directions from someone else in the room, saying go straight on, turn right, and you're right in front of the Eiffel Tower, and what have you. Right, let's carry on. Very, very simple activity, just matching pictures with text, very simple and obvious. And then this one's quite fun. I don't know if anyone's heard of this scrambulator before, but I only heard about it this week. Essentially, you put in a sentence and then it just changes the order of the words, or you could do the same thing presumably with letters as well. I've not tried it with letters, but it certainly works with words. So you could then get the students to put in a sentence and then get them to create this type of activity, whereby they are then having to label each sticky note as a separate item, and then maybe make a challenge for their friend, whereby they put them in the wrong order, and then they have to their friend then has to put them back into the right order. Okay. Likewise, you've got reverse text generator from Text Mechanic, which works in a similar way. You've got a few other text style tricks there as well. And as you can see here, I put another link to another Jamboard, which I'm very briefly going to show you now as well, because the idea was to encourage the community to add more ideas, but unfortunately only one person did. And I don't know who that person is because they haven't written on the screen, but you can see here, do you prefer basketball or volleyball? And then the students then put their answers here, and this person has written how they use it in class. And I just wanted to show you one other little thing. This is the idea of using battleships. So you have one frame per student. So you have 2 frames. You have a battleship practicing, in this case, IMI plus different expressions around activities, hobbies, and sports. And so I used to do this back in the day when I was teaching, and it was always great fun. And why not create a grid using whatever you want to use, Google Slides, etc. Grab it as a screenshot using the snipping tool, put it into Jamboard, and then I got these battleships images from, it was either from AutoDraw or Flat Icon, I can't remember, and then you literally just drag and drop them over the right place. You copy so you have 2 versions of this, and they're not allowed to look at each other's frames for obvious reasons, and then they play battleships. So that's it. So that's Jamboard. Those are a few ideas around making your breakout rooms or your sessions in general, your live sessions remotely, into something that's a bit more interactive. Right, of course, now I'm going to talk about the TILT webinars that Helen and myself have been involved in for the last few weeks. TILT stands for Technology and Language Teaching. So we were going to have a face-to-face conference in April, which unfortunately was cancelled for obvious reasons. And so, like with everything else in my diary, was removed. And so as a result of that, Helen and I came together and thought that instead of doing a face-to-face event, we would do a number of webinars looking at the classic online platforms like G Suite or Office 365. We've had ones about screencasting. We've had interactive sessions around tools like Class Kick. We've had lots and lots of sessions, normally 2 a week, sometimes 3 a week at the very beginning when there was a huge need, as there always, there's still being a huge need. And I just wanted to point out a document which I used as the basis of my first session, which was in March, if I remember correctly. And this is now 37 pages long. So I'm just going to give you a flavor of what this is all about. This is all articles around remote teaching into these different categories: getting started, world language teacher shared tips on remote learning, video conferencing tool. And I'm just going to give you a flavor. So these are all these articles from educators, from head teachers and what have you. One of them I particularly like from a head teacher in an international school, who talks about the silver lining of this might be that those people who are reluctant to use technology may have had their mindset changed as a result of having to use the technology, which I agree with. These are some ideas around languages, lots of video tutorials, lots of articles for you to have a look at. Whenever I look at this, there's always lots of people looking at it between sort of 10 and 15. That's quite nice, using a Zoom hack to make a visualizer with a second device. So as a result of this, you could mute the audio on the first device, prop up your second device between a couple of cans or holding it, what have you, and then you can then put the session, do have the visualizer running live during the session if you wanted to describe a grammar point. I'm just putting in the chat now what the link to this is, which is Tilt Thurs Joe Dale. Or you could record it individually and then send them the link afterwards to the video, or show them the video afterwards. So yeah, then we got Google Classroom, Google Meet, Office 365 in a minute, Microsoft Teams here. Anyway, it just goes on and on and on. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but you can see that I've done a huge amount of work completely for free for the community to help them out. And you can watch the video back of the first Tilt webinar, which is when I showcased some of these ideas. Okay. Now, with that in mind, if you haven't understood I'll just, so if you want to access any of the Tilt webinars, you just go to the AWL London branch where all the details are found. And Helen has done an amazing job in putting all of these pages together. And I've tried my best on scouting for good people to include within the sessions, and they've all gone down really well. Sometimes we've been over full, so we've had the live stream going at the same time, but we normally get a good crowd each time. And I'm now going to show you a little advert which I made as a result of watching the Bitmoji Craze for Educators Facebook group. So to make this, I used the iMovie trailer feature in iMovie on the iPad and Bitmojis. It's only a minute long. I'm going to play it for you right now. Here we go. So there you go. You just need to spread the word, please. We'd love to have more people coming along each time. That'd be great. Yeah, feel free to share the link for the Google Doc with whoever you would like. I'd like everyone to see it all from all around the world. That'd be lovely. Okay, this is another collaborative effort which I thought would be very useful for the community, which was clearly, it's very important to make sure that our sessions in Zoom, Teams, and Meet are as secure as possible. And therefore, I contacted a number of different experts who use these different platforms, including Hiker, and sent them a Google form to the same Google form with the same questions, so they could then fill in the answers. I could then make a collaborative, well, it's actually a PDF, but and then put it out on Twitter so that everyone can then benefit from it. So as you can see, we've got questions such as, can students join a session before the teacher? Can the teacher enable a waiting room? Can the teacher automatically mute students' audio upon entry into a session, etc., etc.? And if we go on to the next page, you can see there's another page of content as well. So this is clearly changing all the time because Google and Microsoft and Zoom are constantly updating their software. But I think I'm right in saying that pretty much everything is still there. I haven't put WebEx in because not that many people that I know of are using WebEx in a secondary school situation. I didn't want it to become too busy on the screen. That's why I've just chosen those 3 tools. But obviously you could do the same, Giselle, if you would like for WebEx. Find a WebEx expert and then ask them the same questions. Okay, so that's security features. And I don't know if you saw, but I think it was yesterday, no, 2 days ago, Google decided to make Google Meet completely free now for anybody, not just people who have G Suite's account, although you can't record with the free version unless you're in a G Suite school. Okay. Right, Flipgrid. So probably a lot of you know Flipgrid already, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come out of this presentation and just show you it live. But before I do that, you can see how I've got a little quote here from a school in the UAE. Some really lovely videos from Year 9 this morning on Flipgrid, even got a subjunctive, such community of confidence. We may not be face to face, but Zoom, Flipgrid and Hangouts are the next best things, which is just lovely. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click exit. I'm going to go to Flipgrid and I'm just going to log in. Okay. And I appreciate that some of you will know Flipgrid already, but I'm hoping that I'm going to be showing you some things that you've not seen before. So I'll just quickly log in. There we are. I've logged in already. I'm going to click add new grid. I'm going to give it a name. So we'll call it VRT 2020. And then here, this is very important. I would always recommend that you use the school email address option, which means that only people from your domain who have a Microsoft or a Google account are able to create a grid. So Flipgrid, you create unlimited grids and unlimited topics in each grid. But for today, so anyone can use it, I'm going to choose the Educator Learning Community one. And I'm going to put in the name VRT 2020 and click next. Okay, I'm not going to put in a password. So I just click there. You can see that I can share the link automatically with Teams and with Classroom, which is really nice. But I'm just going to click on go to grid. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click here where it says actions and click edit topic. Okay. Now, the reason I've done that is because it creates this topic automatically for you. But can you see here, it says video moderation. So if I click on here, it means that any videos that appear will be moderated. I'm going to also choose 10 minutes. I'm not going to record for 10 minutes in Flipgrid, but you can change it from 1.5 minutes, which is the default, to up to 10 minutes. If I go a bit more down here, it says student to student replies. So if you don't want the students to be able to give each other video feedback, then you turn that off. I'm going to leave that for now. And then I click update topic. Okay, having done that, I click on the flip code here, which will give me the student view. And you'll see here, it now says moderated because I've turned this on, moderation on. So if I click on here, I'm imagining I'm a student. So I'm going to log in with Google as if I'm the student, like this. Okay, and here we are. Now, the reason this has come up is because my video is on. So I'm going to turn off my video in Zoom and I'm going to refresh the page. And now it will work. Right, here we are. So now what I can do is I can record a bit of video. But before I do that, I can click on the filters option here. And you've got these different color filters. But the one I think is particularly useful in the school context is this one, the pixelate one. And then suddenly I'm pixelated. I can also click on the stickers icon. And if I want to hide my face a bit more, I can click on, say, this one. And then suddenly I can put this over my face. So I can really, really disguise who I am. And then I can then click record like this. 3-second countdown, away we go. Okay, so this is Joe Dale talking live into Flipgrid in the virtual roundtable keynote today on the 9th of May, 2020. Right, and then I click next. Okay, so this is Joe Dale talking live into Flipgrid. That's fine. I can click on here and can you see I can move that along a bit. Okay, so this is Joe. So I can top and tail the recording if I want to, but that's fine. I click confirm. So this is, okay, so this is Joe Dale talking. So this is obviously fantastic for speaking listening skills. If you do a search for Flipgrid, you'll find Flipgrid, MFL, Twitter, RT in particular, you'll find lots of examples of how people are using this. Let's take a quick selfie. Click next. It uploads. You can change the name if you don't want your actual name to be there. Click submit video and click complete. Right. So the reason it's not appeared here is because this is being moderated. So if I now click on where it says Joe Dale at the top right and click educator login and then go to here and then go here and there we are. And now you can see there's my video and it says hidden. So I can change that to active. So in other words, I can get to see all the videos from all the students before they go live. Okay, so yeah, you could do any of those things, Joshua. Yeah, absolutely. So you can use it for conversation starters, whatever you want to do. It's fine. If I now click on here, this now comes up. Okay, so this is, and you can see here, it gives me the opportunity of video feedback. So if I can click here, I can give myself some feedback. I won't pixelate myself again, but let's just go for it. Okay, so this is an example of video feedback, which I'm giving myself, which is a little bit weird, but obviously I could be giving student feedback to student work, or likewise, students could give student feedback to each other if I've enabled that in the settings. And I click next. Okay, so this is an example of video feedback, which I'm giving myself. Click next and click another selfie like that and click next and then upload. So this is just fantastic for, you know, classic teaching and learning opportunities. Giving a question, having the first video as the teacher, giving a question in a target language, the students then all watch the question back, reply, the video can be moderated or unmoderated depending on what you want to do. You can then give them video feedback and they can give video feedback to each other as well if you would like them to, okay? So those are the basics. Okay, so this is Joe Dale talking the basics of Flipgrid. I'm now just gonna quickly turn off moderation by going here, no, not that one, sorry, go up to the top. Click here, edit topic, and I'm just going to turn off moderation just simply because I've shown you how it works now. And I just want to show you a few other things. So if I click here, okay, and I press record again, or the record a response, okay, this then comes up. Right, the next thing I want to show you is the whiteboard feature. So you click here, you choose white or blackboard, and then you press record, and away we go. So okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to write on the screen. I'm now going to change the color to something else like this and then press pause. Having done that, at the top of the screen, I can now click clear, but it's still recorded that first part. I then move it back onto the color I want to start with, press record again. Away we go. I'm now writing the word goodbye, but I could be explaining how to form the perfect tense in French or in English or what have you. Okay, I can then go here. Oh, don't choose white, otherwise you won't be able to see anything. And we've done it, and I could carry on in the same way doing a grammar screencast. And likewise, the students could create their own screencasts and do the same thing as well. You've also got this sticky note option, which is really nice. This doesn't appear in the final videos. You can write some prompts there for what you want to include, and that can be a nice guide for you while you're creating your video. So then you click next. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is fine. I click next again, take another selfie, click next, there's the video, click submit video, click complete, and if I refresh the page now, it should be there, which it is, and if I click on it, we can watch the video back. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to write on the screen. I'm now going to change the color to something else, like this, and then press pause. Okay, you get the idea. Right, so the next thing I'm going to do is click here. And you can see here, there are 3 dots or an ellipsis. So you click on the ellipsis. And for those students that don't want to appear with video, you can choose audio only. Sorry, you can turn, sorry, you can, sorry, forget what I just said. You can have it with or without the audio. That's right. You can upload a video clip from your computer as well. But what I want to show you now is screen recording, which is very exciting. So before I do that, I'm going to go to Google Earth. Like this. I got this idea from Russell Stannard, one of his videos, which I just thought was amazing. So full credit to Russell for coming up with this idea. So I launched Google Earth. like this. And then having done that, I'm going to go back to, let's just wait for it to load. You do need quite a quick computer to do this. Yeah, you could use the iPad pen for this, but the screen recording is only available in the desktop version. So I'm in Google Earth. So I'm going to click here and I'm going to click screen recording. Click start screen recording, select my screen, share, and then go to Google Earth. Right, so I'm now recording right now. So I could click on the search box and put in a place I particularly wanted to go to, but I'm going to be a bit random now and click here, which is I'm feeling lucky. So I've got no idea where we're going to go in the Earth, but let's just go for it. So, we're going to Goole in the UK. Hilarious, right. So we're going to Goole of all places, right. So let me move my video out of the way and get rid of the chat because everything is being recorded on the screen, chat included right now. And then I'm going to take the little man here and I'm going to drop him straight into Goole. And we're going to go straight into Street View now. And then what I could then do is I could then say, right, where are we? What's the weather like? What can you see? Let's have a look around. What season is it? We seem to be about to be run over by a car, but you get the idea, right? You then click here. Let's go somewhere else. I've got no idea where we're going. Let's see. Okay, we're going here now. And then I'm going to drop the little man here. So now we're in the States in Louisville. Okay, so again, I could talk about the weather. I could talk about, all right, so we're in a garden now, aren't we, in a residential home. I could say, what can you see? Can you see anybody? I can't see anyone at all at the moment. So you would generate this as a really nice way of using spoken language, promoting intercultural understanding, and having a lot of fun at the same time. I'll just do one more. So when Russell was showing this in his video, he was going to Stamford Bridge because he's a Chelsea fan, and he was talking all about his experiences of going to Chelsea when he was 7 years old, which again, you could use as well if you chose an actual place, but this is quite fun. That's Turkey, isn't it? Right, now we're in Turkey. So now I'm going to drop the little man there. Let's see what happens now. Okay, so here we are. Oh, wow, okay. We seem to be inside a building. Very interesting. Okay, so again, if you like that sort of random nature, I'm sure the students would like that. Again, you could use that as a nice way of describing what you see, or you could click the search box and then go for something more specific if you were looking at something more specific if you wanted to. Right, so I'm now going to click stop sharing. Right, so I'm now recording right now. So I could click on the search box. Okay, so now I'm going to click here and I'm going to drag to the point at the beginning of when we start to zoom in, which is here, I think. But let's just go for it. Yeah. So there we are. But let's just go for it. You see what I'm doing? So, we're going to Goole in the UK. Hilarious. Right. So we're going to Goole. Okay. So then I click confirm. Click next. But let's just go for it. Click selfie again. Next. It takes a little bit of time for the video to render, so it won't be available straight away to see. But if I were to go back in a couple of minutes, then I would be able to see exactly what is going on. And no visa required. That's right. I'm just checking the chat very quickly. Okay, so I'm just going to wait for the video to upload. As I said, it'll take a minute or so for it to render. So we're just going to carry on, and then clearly you could get the students to do the same, but they would need a quick computer. So it might be that you only want to do it with your own machine. So that's essentially Flipgrid. Those are all the main things I wanted to talk about in Flipgrid. So now if we go back to here, there's also a Flipgrid Chrome extension, which means you can go straight to your grid from your browser. And there we are. Right, let's carry on. Here are some examples of how language teachers have been using Flipgrid. So for example, we've got Jane Bassnett, or Bassnett J on Twitter, who's using what's called Flipgrid Shorts, which are not within a grid, they're just a standalone video. So she was showing a picture around how to form this simple future and then using the pen tool to annotate at the top. Likewise here, she's looking at the perfect tense with être, using Flipgrid. Underneath here, this is a Flipgrid video from Jess, where she's talking about nice features of Flipgrid, for example, doing one-stop animation, which I'd never thought about before. She goes through how to do that. And this is a really nice video called How to Teach Remotely with Flipgrid. And the person that made this, if you check out, it's EdTech Classroom is the name of the channel. If you check that out, he's done many, many videos which are great for remote teaching. So I would really encourage you to have a look at those. Whiteboard.fi, let's just come out of this. I'm going to show it to you live. So let's go to here, whiteboard.fi. So this is a nice one for interaction. Oh, make sure I put the W in at the beginning. There we are. So I'm going to click new class, put my name in, and click create new class. Can you turn your mic off, whoever is doing that? I can't hear, I don't know who that is, but can you please not have that on when I'm talking? Thank you. Right, so there's the link. If you click on the link for me, please. I'm going to do the same on my device, on my second device. So on my iPad, I'm going to play the role of the student. So you just go to either that link or go to whiteboard.fi and click join class and put in the code. So the code is N47 and click join class. You then put your name in and click join whiteboard. Okay, so I can see all your names are starting to appear here. And what I'd like you to do, please, I'd just like you to draw a picture showing how you're feeling right now. I know that's the same thing again, but how you're feeling right now or about remote teaching in general. I've just done a heart and it's appeared on the screen. And in a moment, I'm going to ask someone to be a guinea pig, if that's okay, and just show you how this works. So in other words, this is the equivalent of having each person having their own mini whiteboard. But if you're sharing the screen, then everyone can see everyone else's work like that, and see that some of these are appearing right now. It can be a little bit glitchy from time to time, annoyingly, but nonetheless, it should work, and I'm sure that'll make it more stable. But this is a bit like Jamboard, but you only get to see your own screen as opposed to seeing everyone else's screen. Okay, so I'm going to click on Helen's, if that's okay. So I'm going to click on Helen's right now so I can see just her screen, and I'm going to launch Screencastify, which is here, like that. And it's just going to launch right now. Again, it does chuck me out occasionally. Where's Helen's one? Let's have a look. Here we are. Right, if I click on Helen's again, and I'd like Helen to carry on drawing if that's okay. And then I click on Screencastify, click record. And now what I can do, I'll click back on Helen's again. I can actually use the drawing tool, and I can be in real time giving immediate feedback to Helen's work. And the annotations are being captured, my voice is being captured, everything's being captured that I'm doing and she's doing. If I think her picture is inappropriate, which obviously it isn't, I could erase it, I could kick her out. Push is a new thing. I've not checked. That's been in the last couple of days they've added that, or I can click close. So there we are. So hopefully that's giving you an idea of how to use Screencastify in conjunction with Whiteboard.fi in order to do this. Thank you ever so much for doing that, Helen. So I'm now going to click here to stop recording. And this will now play back. Can you see? I can press the unmute, and I can be in real time giving immediate feedback to Helen's work. And the annotations are being captured, my voice is being captured, everything's being captured. There we are. And then if I wanted to, I can click on copy shareable link, and I can place that straight into the chat. So in other words, I can make a screen recording of, oh, that didn't work. Let's do that again. Copy shareable link. There we are. So now you can then watch that back and see the feedback I've given to Helen in the class, which is just brilliant. Okay. The other thing that you can do as well, if you go back to here, if you want to export the whiteboard as a single PDF, you can do that. You can't do that natively within the tool, but what you can do is you can go to the three dots here in Chrome, click print, and there is an option to save as PDF, but I've also installed this piece of software called QWIQR Writer. And if I click print on that, it will then export all the whiteboards onto one PDF, which is very nice. So there we are. So that's whiteboard.fi, really nice in a remote learning context. Okay, let's go back to here. And thanks everyone for doing your artwork there. Right, so let's go to here, Shalala. Shalala is a similar tool. I'm very quickly going to show you this as well. So I'm going to go to oh, that's my PDF. Right, Shalala. Here it is. And I should be logged in already. Am I still logged in? Yes, I think I am. So I'm going to click on Draw Room. and I'm going to click Start Draw Room. I'm just going to do the conversation option here, conversational option. So I select that. I get rid of the music, which can be annoying, and I click get rid of that as well. That's fine, and click Start. Right. So on your screen, please, you should be able to see shalala.com/draw. So what I'd like you to do, please, is go to that right now, shalala.com/draw, like that. And then the code is FYF6H. So if you could go put that code in, please, then the students will start to appear on the screen. I'm going to do this live as well. So on my iPad, I'm going to go to shalala.com/draw, like this. Okay. And then there we are. It should send room code on the screen. So you put in the room code, FYF6H. You put your name in and you click join room. Right. Again, I just want you to, I want you to draw a picture of what you did yesterday, just some sort of leisure activity. So I'm imagining that I was playing the guitar. I'd love to be able to do that, but anyway. And I then, having done that, I should then be able to tap submit, but it's not giving me that option. Let me just try that again. Are you getting submit on your, that's why the classic mistake is not to click start. So you have to click start, and now we'll do it. Right, so now I can draw my picture of my guitar. So always remember to click start, otherwise it won't work. So here's my lovely guitar for you. And then I tap submit, submit again, and it will then appear on the screen. You should also see it in a golden frame on yours as well. So you can see that I've just drawn a picture of a guitar. So hopefully in a moment, so I can see that Nancy went sailing yesterday. So I could ask Nancy all about that in the target language. Isn't that interesting? If I didn't like sailing and I felt that was an inappropriate picture, I could click delete. But of course, I think it's lovely, so I'm not going to do that. What I can do is click on the little star here, and suddenly that appears on the masterpiece board. So I can see that Josh went shopping. I can see that Caroline, I'm not exactly sure what Caroline did. Maybe she went on a bus, maybe. I can see that Helen walked behind an elephant, apparently. Vance had a big sleep. So you get the idea. Everybody is drawing onto the screen. I'll just give you another couple of seconds because we haven't got lots of time to go, but you can see how this is working. So once everyone's drawn their picture, you simply click end drawing. So again, I think this is a really nice way of synchronously being able to have a conversation starter with your students. This is lovely. Well done, everyone. That's great. So I'm going to click end drawing now, if that's okay. You've got the idea on how it works. I could do a new round. So this is just, there's no preparation with this at all. It's just conversation starter. You click end room, and then you can see here it says PDF top right. So if I click PDF, I can export the whole, all the masterpieces as one PDF. And I can see all the ones here as well. I can download each one individually as well if I want to. If I click PDF, it then generates a PDF. I click download storyboard, and I can use that as a starter activity for the next lesson as well. Just see if there's any things in the chat. Yep, lovely. Okay, so that's Shalala. And if you want to get a free account, because it's in beta at the moment, you can use this right now, shalala.com/Joe. So if you use that link, it will allow you to create an account, which is wonderful. And then let's carry on. Okay. Right, QWIQR. I'm going to show you this very quickly as well. So I'm going to exit here, go to QWIQR, and go to QWIQR like that. Here we are. I'm logged in, I think. Let me just check. Yep, I'm logged in. That's good. So if I click create instant feedback, this is another speaking one for remote teaching. I click start a QWIQR conversation like this. This will now come up, and I click record under audio like this. Here we go. Blah, 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 blah. There we are. That's the first line of my dialogue conversation, or it's my presentation. At the bottom it says moderate this conversation. So I click on that, and then I click start your QWIQR conversation. Okay. This then comes up at the top, and I'm going to share this with myself by clicking on the QR code. like that. And I'm now going to scan that QR code on my iPad by tapping the camera. There we are, scanning the QR code. And now I'm going to record myself by tapping on the microphone on my iPad and going for it. Here we go. So I get audio response, I tap record, give permission for my microphone to be accessed. Here we go. Blah, 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 blah. This is the reply to the first line of the dialogue or feedback as a teacher to the audio presentation of my students. Blah. And I tap stop. Okay. And then it says on my screen, response waiting approval. But if I refresh the page like this, you can see it says, well, it said it already actually, approve and delete. So I can now listen to that, see if it's okay, and click approve. So I'm going to put in the chat right now this link. And if you would like to record me a message, either right now or in the period of today, about your thoughts on remote teaching, if you'd like to introduce yourself as your Twitter handle, that'd be lovely. And then you could talk for, say, a minute, 2 minutes, no longer than that, if that's okay. And then it'd be nice to see what people are saying. So feel free to do that. In fact, if anyone wants to do that right now, just show you that it does work. It's not just my voice. You could just record yourself quickly. We've only got a few minutes to go, but it would be nice to have someone else's contribution. So you just click on that link, tap on the microphone option. I've turned on moderation, so I'll be able to, it will say awaiting moderation on your screen. If you could record it for me now, and then it should then come through. There we are. I can now listen to that back now.
Hi, I'm Josh. I don't think it will be recording you speaking. I'm speaking while you're speaking. And I just wanted to say that was a fantastic session. Thanks very much. My Twitter handle is @JoshuaU, I think.
Lovely. And I think that's totally appropriate. Thank you so much. So I click approve, and that's now in the stream. There we are. And if at any moment I want to lock the conversation, I can click on the lock option here. And that means that no one else can contribute to it. So it's not always open, as it were. And let's have a listen to this one. Appropriate. Thank you so much. So I click approve.
Joe, slow down the beat.
In the stream. Okay. I appreciate I'm going quite quickly, but it is all being recorded. So let's go to here. Thanks ever so much for everyone's conversations. And then click present. And then nearly finished. Okay. Quizzes. I don't think we've got time to do this right now. No, let's just go for it. If I click exit, just very, very quickly, this is the last one. So quizzes, I'm just going to, here we are. Let's just click here and go to my quiz, and here we are. And so click play live. So these are audio questions within quizzes. So I'm going to click continue. Right, can you go to joinmyquiz.com for me, joinmyquiz.com, and put in the code 568361. So what I'm doing here, you may have heard of quizzes, which is similar to Kahoot, but did you know you can record audio for all the questions now as well? So you can make remote learning listening comprehension if you wanted to, okay? So if you go to joinmyquiz.com, some names of players should start appearing in a moment. And then we can have a quick game of this. And I might go slightly over, but it'll be fine. It'll be fine. I just want to quickly show you this. So I'll just give you a moment to join. There we are. Let's just start. Click start. Okay. You have to mute the audio here, otherwise it's the music. Otherwise it sounds properly. There we are. So you just got to listen to the questions and then answer them, and then your sliders will start to appear on the screen quickly. I can click here under questions and I can play each one, like this one, for example. What is the capital of Indonesia? Okay, so I just recorded that at home, and then students then have to answer the questions. Okay, so all you have to do basically is just go through, listen to the questions, and you should then be able to start answering them. I'll just give you a moment to answer those. And then I will then click end game in a moment. So if you want to create listening comprehension activities for your students that they can either do synchronously, or there's a quizzes homework option, you can actually set this asynchronously. You can give them asynchronous homework listening activities, which I don't know of another tool which allows you to do this in such a nice gamified way. Okay, I'll just give you another few seconds to answer a few more questions, but you get the idea on how this would work. And then if we had a bit more time, I would show you how to record your own question, but it's very simple. You just go to add a question, go to the media option. It gives you the audio recording feature. You record your audio 10 seconds per recording and you're good to go. Okay, so I'm just going to click end game. Thanks ever so much for everyone taking part in this so far, but we are running out of time now. So that was that. We can see that the quickest person was Giselle. Well done, Giselle. And then you also get the option to export all the results as an Excel spreadsheet, which is here, download results, show time taken. You get all this information here as well. So well done, everybody, for doing that. And that's quizzes. And there we are. So that's just a graphic about what you can do. Just a thought, if you've enjoyed this session and you'd like to invite me along to do a webinar for you and in your school or language association or language center, feel free to contact me. I put together 17 example sessions that I could do via webinar, which you can access via the QR code. They're all here in this Google Doc. And that's me. So thanks ever so much again for Heike for inviting me. Thank you to Helen for moderating the chat. So you access this presentation via is.gd/VRT 2020 Jodel. It is case sensitive, so VRT has to be capital letters. I'll turn my video back on right now so you'll be able to see me again. And you can feel free to copy the QR code. And I sincerely hope you found that useful, and it's given you lots of ideas that will help you to give structure as well as activities. And thank you ever so much for everyone that had a play in this session, which is what this session was all about. So thanks again for listening, and I hopefully see you all again soon.
On behalf of everybody, Joe, thank you so much. Really, there are no questions left because you are brilliant at presenting and also looking at the questions and interacting, and also the community here, they were all helping each other. So as people were asking questions, so others were answering. So thank you so much for all you're doing. I know that you're using the word a lot about this as being freely available. You're a freelance, independent person. You're not in a position like so many of us are where we are actually employed. So in particular, thank you for doing this really, really freely. And I really do hope that people will take up your offer to approach you if you could help them perhaps individually in their institutions. But really well done. Thank you ever so much. I don't know if people would like to, I don't know, Heike, whether you do this, you could open up your mics now perhaps, yes, and give an applause, or open up your videos. Say,
thank you
very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Really, really good. Lovely.
Thank you.
See you in the chat as well there. Fantastic, really great. People saying they're going to need about a month to process it.
Yeah. But that's why it's recorded, so you can then watch it back. And then I appreciate it was a lot of information in this short amount of time, but you can watch back the recording. You've got the presentation, you've got the recording, you've got everything. So if you're interested, it's a question of knowing what's out there, really, and then you can then find out more yourself. And if you want me to help you with anything, just let me know and I can support you individually as well.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. So over to you, Heike, because I expect we're going on to another session soon, are we?